I'll pay so much on that one. So what, will be paid off?
I got a Bradley will get done before this gets done.
What do you win if you win?
I mean, it doesn't even look like the same place.
We're excited.
That's gonna be a big plus.
Ready? Yes, sir.
Recording in progress.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We'll start off with roll call.
Getting up on me.
Mayor Lindsay,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Howell,
Here.
Councilor Crane,
Here.
Councilor Weeks,
Here.
Councilor Humbert.
Here.
We have a quorum. You may continue.
Okay, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the exclusion of item B under new business, which was to approve Kyle Price to the Comprehensive Planning Committee. Mr. Price has asked that he just attend for a while before he commits to being a member. So again, if we could get a motion omitting item B.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the deletion of item B under new business.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If I could get a motion now for the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do have one audience member that would like to come up and speak. Mr. Maloney?
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm coming tonight in front of y'all as to a taxpayer and as a business owner here in Angel Fire. The first thing I want to start off with is ordinance violations. There is I couldn't make last council member meeting, 2 council member meetings ago, there was an ordinance violation posted on a building I'm doing. Well, as of this morning, there was our code enforcement person was sent out to try and enforce a code, a village ordinance, without doing his homework. Him and I had the discussion. I have the original permit from 2021. It's on there, so he's doing his homework. So my concern is, a lot of y'all know since day one, 4 years ago, I've been real adamant on let's find somebody, start enforcing these. I've been supportive from day one, but we can't pick and choose who we're gonna try and enforce code or ordinance violations on. So that's my first one. Like I said, he's now done his homework. He's looking at it. He's found out that he was incorrect. So I don't know if he issued it or not. He said to get with me. So my next thing, if we'll look at the village ordinance 4-3-4, prohibited acts. The following actions with regard to solid waste are hereby prohibited. Dumping, and then it goes into collection of solid waste. The definition, disposing of solid waste or any other discarded material on property within the village, which is private, including but not limited to privately owned or controlled dumpsters. Parking lots is where I'm going. Allowing refuse to collect or accumulate on privately owned lot or other premises within the village of Angel Fire. We have a huge pile of trash back here in the corner that's been there now almost 4 months. No ordinance violation has been issued to the contractor. There's been no, here's where I'm going, and you see where I'm going because you're smiling.
I'd be happy to address. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so I mean,
Well, I'm smiling because you said 4 months. It's been not even 2, but it's been way too long.
okay. And then there's been no, so my whole point is, as a contractor, as a taxpayer of the village, we hired a contractor to do work on this village. That trash has been sitting there. There's been no ordinance violations issued. So this is where I'm going. If we're gonna play by one rule, let's all play by the same rules. So, and
I
that,
couldn't agree more.
Okay.
And I don't know the last time that there was an ordinance violation written for refuse on a job site, which I think there should be, quite frankly.
correct.
But yes, we've addressed that with the contractor numerous times.
Okay.
And I will just say there will be a dumpster, well, I say that. We've
There
been
was a
told
dumpster
numer-
there.
There was a dumpster there, it was never filled and then taken away,
Because he didn't want to fill it.
I guess.
Yeah.
We don't know,
Yeah,
so.
and that's where I'm going. So that's my whole issue is, he was sent out to my property to issue one, didn't do his homework, and now it's come back. So let's all get on the same page. Now my second issue is permits. From day one in all my projects, I've paid numerous permits, fees. Village Hall has a permit here for the remodel work. So there's been a failed framing inspection. It's been covered up, now drywall. There is a building permit, but there is not a permit attached for the outside work for the concrete. That is not in the work that was issued on that permit. So that outside concrete work has been completed. There's been no inspection done on that. That work is completed. So as of this afternoon, CID will be up here Thursday to investigate and find out why that concrete was poured without an inspection.
So I'll just let you know too, that you're not required to have an inspection on flat work.
Yes, you are. Over 120 square feet per CID.
So then the other one is, you're doing us a huge favor, Mike, because we've done everything but report them to CID.
Yeah, yep.
We're very frustrated with the contractor. This is what
And as a
happens.
contractor, I am too, and that's what frustrates me, because I'm getting pinpointed on certain things, and I've gone through and done my homework, and now as a taxpayer and a business owner, we've got work being done that's not up to code.
So what happens, we went out to RFP,
Yep,
we get one response,
yep,
and that's who's doing the work.
yep, and it was posted once in Taos News for the RFP.
Wow.
And I've got an email stating that that's when it was posted. So, and I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with the RFP. It was sent out, nobody knew about it. Because I actually
They
gave,
found it.
well, and there's a reason why behind it found it, but I actually bid on that 3 years ago and 2 years ago. So, and that's
We
where,
appreciate you
Yeah,
turning them in.
and that's
If
why I'm
you can
just
help
trying
us
to get-
expedite this, we
Yep.
couldn't thank you more.
yeah, and that's where he's coming back Thursday with his supervisor to go
3
through.
minutes has expired, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
well, I took half of it.
Let's move on to announcements and proclamations by the council.
Oh, yeah, just a reminder, at the memorial, we have bricklaying this coming Saturday. Starts at 9 a.m. and will go until about 3. So look forward to seeing any of you out there.
Thank you, sir. If nothing else, we'll move on to staff reports.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council. From the tourism department, I just have a quick update on things that have been happening. As you know, we posted an RFP and sent out RFPs to six agencies have responded to our RFPs. Those RFPs have been reviewed by the initial proposal, not RFPs, the proposals have been reviewed by the review committee. They are starting to trickle out now to Lodgers Tax Committee. They're now up to 3 Lodgers Tax Committee members. They will review them. We will make our final recommendation at that Lodgers Tax Committee on the 11th. It will come back to you guys for the meeting on the 24th. So that's where the RFP process is there. Visitor Center project. Visitor Center project is moving along. We've gotten things located at Frontier Park. We've got furniture in there. We're fully staffed. Internet should be hooked up tonight. Doors and windows are on. There's construction happening over there, but at least we have a facility and we're starting to get things rolling there. That's my update for tonight. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor, Council, Manager, Clerk. Mine's gonna be kind of quick too, just give you an update on what's going on in Parks and Rec. Up at the community center, the upper lot was paved, so that's now done. So the whole lot's paved and it's very nice. If any of you have been up there lately and remember how muddy it used to get and everything, it's a lot better. Music from Angel Fire finishes up this week with their last concert on Thursday at the community center. And then they'll be getting out and we'll get back to regular business on Tuesday after Labor Day. Phase 3 work is moving along good. There are delays obviously due to weather and lack of concrete. Lawrence Ortega, the engineer, was out here today and he's going to email me and update me tomorrow on what's going on, but he's happy with how it's going besides the delays, but that's nobody's fault. Equipment is set to arrive still late September to early October. I don't have an installation date yet, but they'll be setting it up here pretty soon and it should be, I'm gonna guess, mid to late October is when they're gonna do it. Last softball tournament at the Allen Fields was on Saturday and it went well. There was about 100 to 125 people that were out there with all the teams, and it was a memorial tournament, so there was a lot of families out there too, like kids running around everywhere, and so it turned out well. Looking to apply for a couple of grants. One is due at the end of this month, which is on the agenda for tonight, and the other is due at the end of next month. And the one on the agenda for tonight has to do specifically with the Allen Fields, and the one for next month is in regard to the Frank Young Extension Trail that we're trying to get to go to the Allen Fields and up to the high school. And that's on the Trails Committee agendas, and the Trails Committee is gonna walk it this Thursday, and we're gonna try to get it all mapped out again from the previous years. I began conversations with the engineer about getting plans drawn up for getting lights at the Allen Fields. And we're hoping to have a maybe early spring, have the plans done this winter, and hopefully maybe get started at early spring, but we're at the very beginning of all of these plans. And we're breaking it down into a few phases of ways that we want to get things done, but lights was the first priority. So you'll hear more about it once I get a little more, talk to the engineer more, get more numbers and such. The Frank Young Trail Extension, like I said, we're hoping to have it done, the plan done by mid-September, so we can apply for the Trails Plus grant. That'll be at the next council meeting, or one in September, brought to council. And we're hoping to also get that started on in 2025 at some point. And lastly, for the website, I've been talking to a website accessibility specialist with our Civic Plus, and I'm learning a lot about how important it is to make sure your website is accessible to everybody, and make sure we're following rules and guidelines. I have another meeting with them, and I'll be bringing something to council in regard to that also. That's all I have. Any questions?
One quick question. I know you don't have a date yet for the playground, but will we do a grand opening or a kickoff or something when it does officially open?
Sure, if weather permits, or it might happen in the spring, because it just kind of depends. Like I said, late October, it just depends, but we can have nice weather up until, part of October, so. It'll probably be something good to plan and do, so. All right, thank you.
Another staff reports this evening. We'll move on to old business. Committee reports. Any committee reports this evening? We had an extensive work session earlier today with a lot of good discussion on workforce housing, the night sky, trails, a lot of great things going on at the moment. So with that, we'll move on to old business. So if I could please get a motion to, do we need to get a motion for this? Is it?
Yeah.
Since we postponed it? A motion for discussion action, approve the resolution 2024-60 solid waste trash service.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve resolution 2024-60, solid waste trash service.
Second.
Rocky?
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Hall, Councilman, Manager Ware, if you recall, the last council meeting, we brought to you this resolution 2024-60, and it had some language there in yellow that was very confusing, and actually we didn't really know where it came from. In doing some research, we looked at the 2024-52 solid waste trash service rate, and I recognized that the reason that we had to rewrite it is because it had some verbiage in there that was referencing the old recycle park located here next to the village hall. So that was the purpose of rewriting the 60. And we also added one little piece of verbiage there at the bottom. So it's highlighted here in your resolution in front of you, and I'm here just to get approval for that resolution.
I think it looks good now.
Okay. Would you like to return to your position? We'll call for a vote.
Okay, so we do a roll call vote now
Yes, sir.
for that item. Mayor Pro Tem Hall,
Aye.
Councilor Crane,
Aye.
Councilor Weeks,
Aye.
Councilor Hubbard,
Aye.
pass.
Okay. Moving on to, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, did we have a vote on the consent agenda?
Yes.
We did.
I'm sorry, I missed it. I was focused on something else.
Now we'll move on to new business. Item A, if I could please get a motion for discussion action to approve Russ Coyle for a comprehensive planning committee.
I'll make a motion for discussion action, approve Russ Coyle to Comprehensive Planning Committee.
Second.
I'll just say that I think Russ Coyle would be a good addition, not only for his long-standing tenure in the community, but also his board position with Kit Carson Electric Co-op. We've been meeting more regularly with Chairman Reyes and our CEO Reyes, and want to make sure that they're in the loop in anything that we are doing over here in Angel Fire, especially when it comes to planning. So, Rocky, I think we're ready for a vote.
Well, let's have a roll call vote on item A. Mr. Weeks,
Aye.
Mr. Crane,
Aye.
Mr. Howe,
Aye.
Mr. Hubbard,
Aye.
pass.
Okay, this time we'll move on to item C. If I could get a motion for discussion action to approve the Workforce Housing Committee lot selection.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve Workforce Housing Committee lot selection.
I'll second.
Councilor Crane?
So, as we discussed in our work session earlier, we have 2 lots that are currently on the market that Workforce Housing Committee is targeted for our big project. Workforce Housing Committee ended up in a tie of 2-2 on these 2. No negatives associated, it was just a preference thing. What we're asking for is a vote to release us to go start negotiating in earnest with one or both of these. They have different list prices, they're slightly different footprints. I have a preference on which one I think would be better suited, but there was no clear consensus on the committee, so it's to us to decide if there's a preference between the 2. So you should have in your packets the listings for both of these lots. As we discussed earlier, the one on the summary spreadsheet called Mountain View Boulevard is the 4.25 acres behind Zeb's. The one 24 Freya is 5.05 acres out on Freya Lane, I think was the correction from earlier, and Highway 64. So both of them have been reviewed as far as access to utilities. They are both relatively flat and free of any seasonal signs of water, so would be suitable for our, hopefully, workforce housing project.
Mr. Mayor. So I would recommend that after your discussion, that you vote on an amendment to the motion specifying which property, if you choose to do so, and then vote on the motion.
Okay, we can amend the motion, is fine. Is there?
After the discussion.
After the discussion.
And I will make a point that, one of the properties in consideration is listed by a broker in my real estate office. I'll just let you know that we have an office policy, written policy, as long as I'm mayor of Angel Fire, that my wife and I cannot profit from any, sale, whether from any village employee or any village business that's done. So we don't have anything to gain there, but I will recuse myself from any vote on that particular property.
So, Mr. Mayor, who will do the actual negotiation?
I would actually like Counselor Crane to work with, I think, the listing broker on either property would be
That's acceptable.
prudent.
Looks like we
Well, I mean,
have a question. I don't know if we're fielding questions on this right now, but
so more of a,
Adam, if you want to come up to
Oh,
the
thank you.
podium real quick.
thank you, yeah. So, my name's Adam Warshower. Hello. Interestingly enough, I passed by this property, one of the two properties, before I attended the workforce housing meeting that we were both in attendance at. And I was interested in the property. I listened to the committee speak. I didn't divulge that I had interest in the property. I let the meeting happen. I didn't sway it either way. At the end of the meeting, there was a 2-2 tie, which I found was interesting. I have personally moved forward in putting an offer on the lot behind Zeb's, and it's basically been accepted. So I'm speaking now just to simplify this situation, because as of now, it's looking like I am gonna be owning that property. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, and, you know, I'm not sure how that affects things going forward, but my offer's been basically accepted, so.
So when you say basically,
It's not signed, but it's verbally accepted. So I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot by, you know, exposing that, you know, I'm like, I don't wanna compete with the village, I wanna support workforce housing, affordable workforce housing. That's something I've been, you know, interested in. The city needs it, village needs it, and so I have ideas for that property and properties adjacent to it to do a mixed use, mixed tiered with lesser expensive homes and a little bit more bedrooms and, you know, more expensive. And that's in an adjacent property to the one there. So I'm gonna be looking to acquire that, you know, raise capital and put the plans together and do that. So I'm hoping to offer additional housing at reasonable costs for the village. So that's what I'm personally doing as of right now. And that's basically all I have to add, just to help simplify it, hopefully that we don't have to go back and forth, because unless the village wants to compete with me, which is fine.
thank you.
so I'm not sure what the, you know, realistic challenges there would be to acquiring real property. I'm happy to approach both brokers and see what the situation is. Both of them would be preferable, would work for us. I would say my preference, and I didn't get a vote at the committee meeting because I'm a liaison, but my preference is the Zeb's, the lot behind Zeb's, because it's more walkable for employees than the other one. Not by miles and miles, obviously, it's not that far to get out to the one at 64, but I'm happy to engage with both. If there is a clear consensus on which one I should start with, I guess that's what we need to figure out from the other council members to modify a motion to move forward.
Mr. Mayor, I would, I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry,
I would say that I actually like the lot off of Free only because it's a little bigger
And one of my concerns is with the volume of houses that we're gonna have, there needs to be some recreation area. And the lot behind Zeb's, it's gonna be tight to fit in all the houses. It is further out. I do like the lot behind Zeb's better because of its proximity. But I think if we're gonna put 60 families together, there needs to be some recreation space in that area.
And the committee agrees with that. We haven't obviously done a formal layout on these because we don't own either of them. We considered the lots that the village does own currently, and unfortunately, most of them are either water tanks or not really buildable from a wetlands perspective. So that's when we started looking at dirt that we don't own, so.
So there's access here to the highway and there's access basically on three sides. You probably not be able
So,
to access the highway. but-
Technically, the road on the south of that lot, where it curves,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't really exist. It's on the plot, but it hasn't officially been put in. We could, in theory, look at putting access in from 64, but I believe it was Director Epler that if we would do that, that's probably gonna involve DOT and deceleration lanes and, so initially, when we walked that lot, we were considering 2 points of entrance from the east on the north-south version of Freya. But that was just quick cocktail napkin layout, not dimensioned or to scale.
Mr. Maloney, if you
I've
want.
just got one thing that, and it's not because I live out there, I promise you. Nobody knows it, but I actually did research. I tried to buy that lot 3 years ago. There's a graveyard on there. And I didn't, so it's the one on 64. I'm out there, right, and I just found that out because my neighbor, catty corner from me, Mike Niedheimer. So Mr. Fox owned all that land, and he didn't know the exact amount, but he said there's over 25 graves out there, and the headstones had all laid down. And so Mr. Fox, the original owner of all that Fox Lane, took them and put them in his garage. And so I'm just, and I actually started on the real estate side of it with my wife being a broker. We looked, and then Mike Niedheimer was like, hey, you realize that back of that property is a grave. So I'm looking out that way, and you guys can do your research and find it, but it's on the back where that curve is, where you notice in the plot, I guess
Yeah,
it curves.
the south side it
If
curves
you go
in.
straight, that's where they are,
That's where the
so.
park goes.
That's where the
Yeah.
park goes.
So I'm just putting that out there, so.
Well, it's not on this disclosure here, I can assure you.
But I can tell you right now, Mr. Fox and his family, in the statement from the original, because I think it's transferred 3 times now, in between the first and the second transition, it's on the record showing it. So,
I appreciate that. We
Yep.
would obviously need to do a little due diligence in the escrow phase.
So I guess my question is, can we vote on a preference? Because obviously, we're gonna have to look at both of these lots and figure out if one of them sold and one of them's got a graveyard before we.
Thank goodness for the audience participation.
Yeah. So I guess nuts and bolts here is what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, should we vote or should we clear these things up and bring this
My
back?
recommendation would be
Next
a
council meeting.
motion to postpone.
Yeah, I think the postponing would be.
I
You
also.
already have a motion on the floor, so
Yeah.
you're gonna have to let that fail.
I would, I disagree with the manager only because if there's one property there might be one property we need to move on sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because it might be sold if we don't.
If we're gonna compete, which is an if, but
Can I say one more thing then?
Come on up.
All right.
just understand that this is kind of a real estate negotiation out in the open.
You know, the village is important to me, and you know, my personal, you know, sites and my plans can shift. There's 15 acres behind the parcel that we're talking about, and that potentially could be used for additional affordable housing. The only thing that is important to me is who comes in and becomes a person who's a part of the village. Quality people, important to me, and I don't know exactly how the village can control that. but me as a private individual can control that a little bit more, so I feel a little bit safer in terms of who I'm gonna sell to. But there's 15 acres behind the parcel that's behind Zeb's, and I'm open to discussing that, and I would favor postponing the decision so we could have some time to talk about that. But your decision, that's my ad.
Thank you.
Well, my preference would be the one on Freya. I'll just make that noted.
My preference is the one behind Zeb's.
2-2 vote, here we come.
Well, we're technically, yeah, we're gonna tie again, but even if we ended a tie, I think it would still make sense to engage both brokers and start that informal conversation, because one may go away and the other one may have a lot more work to it, so.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, so there'll have to be a vote, so we've already had a motion and a second, so there'll have to be a vote, and you can all just vote no, and the issue dies.
I think we're waiting to hear one more preference, are we not?
I've changed 3 times.
Or you could make a motion for further investigation, but you'd have to amend the current motion to do that.
There's nothing else to possibly enter into negotiations with the brokers.
Or you could, yeah.
To see which lot selection ultimately makes the most sense for the village.
We're either gonna start with
I mean,
The shame would be to lose both of them over delays.
well, and the tricky part is, when we dug into this, the village used to own 10 acres that was supposed to be for workforce housing, that was sold years and years ago, and now here we are reinventing the wheel, so. I'm fine either way. I tend to agree with Mayor Lindsay that at least a vote on a preference here would be.
let's see the motion, to Manager Ware's point. I think, see the original motion through, on the preference of that is kind of what we're waiting on.
You gonna change 4 times?
My original preference was the property behind Zeb's. I like the idea that it's walkable. The only concern I had there was that the other property was larger, but it may not be larger.
Well,
And I will point out that there is a large right-of-way that runs through that property as well, of that 5 acres, that renders portions of it unbuildable.
Okay.
I make a motion to amend my original motion, and my new motion is that we direct council to investigate the possibility of either of these parcels.
The second to the amended motion.
I'll second it.
so without a preference, just both.
Without a preference.
Sure, when we get it.
Is that
Right.
acceptable?
Okay.
So,
I don't know how you're gonna write all these notes.
yeah. So this is a roll call vote to investigate both of these properties,
With the intention
With the
of
intent-
trying to purchase one.
intention to purchase one of them.
Right.
Yes.
So, Mr. Humbert,
Aye.
Mr. Crane,
Aye.
Mr. Howe,
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
Now don't we have to vote on the first motion? Or not?
No,
You
you're
made an
you're
amendment.
amended.
We amended the motion.
So you're- all right.
Moving on. Moving on to item B. If I could please get a motion for discussion, action to approve Recreation and Trails Committee charter.
I make a motion for discussion action to approve the Recreation and Trails Committee charter.
I'll second.
Okay, we looked at this at the planning session prior to the, or work session prior to this meeting. And we feel like this charter is very well done, and we're actually gonna ask all of our committees to put something forth in similar fashion. Is there any other discussion on the Trails Charter?
The only comment I would add from our work session earlier is if you pick the first and third, then you can have Jackie Farmer on those days. If it's the second
Right,
and fourth, then.
Yeah, we'll have to hit when there's 4 Thursdays in a, I mean,
Right.
5 Thursdays in a
Right,
month
right.
and then go from there.
They don't know what y'all are talking about, you should tell them.
So, one of the representatives for this committee is Jackie Farmer, who some of you may know is the AFPO Executive Director. I chair the Architectural Committee, so the second and fourth Thursdays at 9 o'clock, Jackie's busy at Architectural, so he can't have her
She's
two
on-
places at the
she's on
same
this
time.
committee.
And we've discussed it, so it's already, so.
She'd be great on the committee,
We'll work that out.
scheduling conflicts, yeah.
Okay, so we'll have a roll call vote on item D. Mr. Weeks,
Aye.
Mr. Crane,
Aye.
Mr. Howell,
Aye.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Pass.
Okay, moving on to item E. If I could please get a motion for discussion action to approve resolution 2024-63, application for city park improvements fund.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve resolution 2024-63, application for city park improvement funds.
I'll second.
Julie?
Mr. Mayor, council, manager, and clerk. Before you, you have resolution 2463. It is asking permission to apply for these city park improvement grant. So I'm just asking for permission, and I'll stand for any questions you have.
Any questions for Julie?
This can be used for any infrastructure for Allen Fields, I guess, is what,
This is what our plan is. Phase 1 would be plan, design, construct, equip, furnish. The first item is lights for Allen Fields. That is to be plan, design in the winter, spring of '25, have the installation. The second thing is a parking lot improvement and expansion. That would be summer, fall of '25. Also, the infrastructure for the restrooms and concession stands going in, or designed, designed in the spring, fall of '25. In the spring, summer of '26, we're looking for construction of the restrooms and concession stands to go in. In the summer of '26, we're also looking at a pavilion or a giant solar panel for shade and 2 EV charging stations. Phase 2, which will have to be another funding source in the future. Hopefully the legislative sessions will carry on this grant funding. So phase 2 would be a skate park, playground, track around the field, plan design for '26, winter of '26. Construction of said skate park, playground, track around the field, spring, summer of '27. Phase 3 would be plan design for east side new fields in the winter of '27. The DFA did ask for our total wish list for our fields, because they want to present to legislative, well, we have $3 billion in requests and only $7.5 million for the whole state.
I just have one question. If any of those projects were to change in priority for some reason over the next couple of years, will it mess up our grant writing here, or if?
It could.
Okay.
We want to do the lights first because that's a revenue source. Shea would be able to have nighttime softball tournaments going on. Right now, we have to stop at dusk. We are looking at, depending on what the ordinance says, stopping play at 10 p.m. So it wouldn't go past that. Next, because we're going to have more people playing at night, we want to expand the parking lot so we have more people, more parking available for those people coming to our tournaments.
well, and that'll also work for other events.
Yes.
Anything else?
Let's have a roll call vote on item E. Mr. Humphrey,
Aye.
Mr. Howe?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Pass.
Okay, moving on to item F, discussion action approval change order number 1 for file construction.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve change order number 1 for file construction.
Second.
Mr. Epler?
Essentially, this change order is based on the fact that the as-built for the piping that existed around tank number 7 were inaccurate. So this required them to do some potholing to try to locate the piping as it existed, which also led to some further construction staking to be able to properly plot out what is in the ground.
And if I may, for the benefit of the audience, File Construction is actually the name of the company. Because when I first read this, I wondered what we were doing with
File room?
file room.
Oh, building files? Yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Nope.
Roll call vote on item F. Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Mr. Howe?
Aye.
Mr. Humbert?
Aye.
Pass.
Moving on to item G, if I can get a motion, discussion action approval of award of RFP 2024-011-R.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve award of RFP 2024-011-R.
I'll second.
Director Epler?
Okay, this is the request for proposal for spreading the base course on the 4 projects identified in the RFP. We received 3 responsive bids, and the evaluation committee presents a recommendation that the job be awarded to Kite Construction.
And just as a quick reminder, because I know the 4 sites for spreading base course are, this is the El Camino.
Yes, El Camino, Sierra Blanca, Royal Court.
Any questions, discussion?
Have a roll call vote on item G. Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mr. Humbert?
Aye.
Mr. Howe?
Aye.
Pass.
All right, moving on to item H, if I get a motion for discussion action, approval, budget adjustment request, adding funds to law enforcement fuel code.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve budget adjustment request, adding funds to law enforcement fuel code.
Second.
Manager Weir?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, actually, all 3 of these next action items are bars that were basically items that either, well, the first 2 were items that were originally budgeted last year, but we didn't, and the work was ongoing, we didn't get to pay for them before June 30th. And so we thought they were gonna be paid for prior to June 30th and weren't included in the current year budget. They didn't get completed until after June 30th, so now we have to bar them into this year's budget. The bar for vehicle maintenance and repairs is related to a vehicle that was unanticipated being placed in service prior to the budget being completed.
Any questions or discussion on item H?
Roll call vote on item H. Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Mr. Howe?
Aye.
Mr. Humbert?
Aye.
Pass.
Moving on to item I, if I could get a motion for discussion action, approval of budget adjustment request, funds to cover FY '24 audit fees.
I make a motion for discussion action, approve budget adjustment request funds to cover fiscal year '24 audit fees.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item I. Mr. Howell?
Aye.
Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Mr. Hubbard?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Pass.
Moving on to item J, if you get a motion for discussion, action, approval, budget adjustment request funds for vehicle repairs and maintenance.
I'll make a motion for discussion action, approve budget adjustment request funds for vehicle repairs and maintenance.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item J. Mr. Hubbard?
Aye.
Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mr. Howell?
Aye.
Pass.
At this time, I'd ask for a motion to move into executive session per NMSA 10-15-1H-2 concerning limited personnel matters.
I make a motion to move into executive session per NMSA 10-15-1H-2 to discuss limited personnel matters.
Second.
Roll call vote on item K. Mr. Howell?
Aye.
Mr. Hubbard?
Aye.
Mr. Weeks?
Aye.
Mr. Crane?
Aye.
Should we go to your office?
Mr. Mayor, may I ask that you invite Chief Ogre?
Recording stopped.
Executive session.
Yeah, let's,
Do we need to amend the motion?
I'm sorry?
We just need to run another motion inviting,
No, it doesn't need to be a motion.
just
You
in
have
the record.
the authority to invite people into executive session.
We'd like to invite Chief Hogrefe to the executive session. We'll take it, Chuck, we'll go to Brett's office.
They put gas in it.
Huh?
I said, I even put gas in it.
Did you think, I saw the other day, it was like just over a quarter.